Hey friend, Hector here from 𝙥𝙤𝙨𝙠 with this week's Movement Monday for the week. Last week we talked about neck mobility, okay? So we were doing basically a two-part series. We'll be closing out the series on some neck mobility here today. Basically in part one, I talked about how your neck is the fuse box for the rest of your body, particularly the shoulders and especially your grip and how it kind of radiates out towards your hands. So a lot of this can come from your lifestyle, right? Posture, what we call forward head posture, sitting, if it's through, maybe because of our work, or even if it's our sporting activities like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, things that require this, that to kind of put you into this slumped shoulder position, and you can kind of lead to this forward head posture. And keep in mind, like I mentioned in the blog, if you read the blog post on this, I talked about how every inch that the head moves forward, it adds 10 pounds of pressure to your cervical spine, which can lead to many other chronic problems, right? Neck pain obviously is one, headaches, back pain, several things can go wrong. All that just from head position. So last week we went over basically the three particular neck movements that I take my students through, that I even take myself through before any kind of training. But especially if you're going to be going overhead, if you're going to be snatching, if you're going to be strict pressing, if you're going to be doing push presses or jerks or any kind of overhead movements, we definitely want to make sure that the neck is clear, okay? Because if the neck is not clear, shoulders are not going to be good, and your grip is going to be weaker, okay? So basically what we did is we held the bell back behind our back, and we went through flexion and extension. We went through rotation, and then we went through this little chicken neck movement, okay? So now we're basically just going to work our neck mobility in a different pattern, okay? We did it standing. This one we're going to be doing basically in a squat position. This is one of my favorite positions to do this in, and that's basically in the bottom of a deep squat, using the kettlebell as a counterbalance if you need it. But from there we're going to progress that into a little more of an advanced shoulder mobility and shoulder strengthening exercise in combination after we've mobilized the neck. So in order to get the neck to be able to move freely, we want to load the lower part of the body, right? So let's say if we had carries, that would pull the shoulders down, activate the trunk, and that would allow you to basically relax your neck and take your neck through ranges of motion. So we're basically going to do that while we're loaded in the bottom of the squat. So we're going to start at the bottom. I always like to start my squats at the bottom. Reason being is that's how we learned to squat when we were little, right? We learned how to push down, get our feet underneath us, push down, and stand up. That was our first squat, right? So the way I like to set up is I like to have the bell underneath my belly button, lean the bell forward, okay? So now the handle's facing away from me, and then basically I bring up one step at a time, and I'm going to be straddling. The bell's going to be directly underneath my hips at that point. Once I stand up, the bell's going to be directly underneath my hips. Grab the bell by the horns, and now just pull the bell to your chest, and you're going to sit below, you're going to sit in between your feet, basically, okay? So from here, you want to keep your chest up, right? Your elbows are going to go right on the tip of the knees, and you know this as the goblet squat, right? Or just basically a deep squat. And what I'm doing here is I'm just using the kettlebell as a counterbalance if I needed it. I don't need to have the kettlebell. I can just sit here if I wanted to, but you may need a counterweight. Totally cool. But also, I'm going to be using this for a strength exercise and mobility exercise as soon as I'm done with my head position. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be here in this deep squat position, and then from here I'm going to go through my flexion and extension exercises that we did last week. So now I'm going to lead through my breath and my eyes, and I'll do honestly, I really don't count when I do this. I just move until I feel I've had enough, until my neck feels like it's moved, okay? Till my neck feels like it's mobile and feels good. So here's the really cool thing about this position is right now I really feel this in my erectors and I feel this in my upper back, which is good, right? Those are the muscles that are responsible for your posture. So when I inhale and I look up, I really feel that all the way from my upper back traps, all the way down my spine, all the way down through the extensors into my hips. Exhale, tuck my chin to my chest, and just go through about 10 to 20 or until you feel really good. So we got those neck flexion and extension. Now, I'm going to turn to the side a little bit. I'm going to do the same head rotations. And I'm trying to look at my back pocket. And at the same time, obviously, we're working hip mobility at the same time. So we're getting a lot of work done here. We're actually learning how to regain our squat. We're improving our posture by keeping our chest up. We've got a great counterbalance here, and we're mobilizing the neck, improving posture. A lot of great stuff going on here. You got your chicken neck. When you bring your chin back, you're really going to feel that in the upper back, mid back, all the extensors. You're going to feel all that. It's really, really good and really restorative. So now, once I've gone through that, and I've gone through my flexion and extension, I've gone through my rotations again, I've gone through my chicken neck movements with my neck. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to do halos. This is actually a pretty advanced exercise. If you're not here yet, you can do this from half kneeling lunge position. So I'll show you both options. Okay. So option one, if you have the stability to do this, you'll now take the bell and you're now going to go bottom up. Okay. Keep your chest up. You now have the bell bottom up, and then from here we're going to go on to perform halos. And you're going to really feel this in the upper back. Obviously, you're going to work the shoulders. Be mindful. The goal here is to not allow your body to go into flexion. You don't want your spine to go into flexion so you can get the bell to go around your head. Okay? You want to keep your chest up. And you're going to do 5 per side. Left and right would be 1. And then you're going to go on to perform 5 total. If you're not ready for that yet, you'll basically just get into a lunge, half kneeling lunge position, and then you'll do your halos from there. Okay? So you'll get in your lunge, 90-90 on 90 degree here, 90 degree back here. You're going to point your back toe, and you want your foot flat, pointed straight back. You don't want your foot to kind of break like this, because that becomes like a rudder and you can kind of cheat. So you want your foot straight back, 90 degrees. I'll turn towards you. You'll want your pelvis to be square, level. You don't want any kind of hip hiking. Okay? And then from here, you're going to do your halos from here. You want to keep your weight centered over this down knee. Okay? Front leg is light. If you can't pick up your heel, it's because you have weight on your front leg, which means now you're quad dominant. We don't want that. We want you to be loaded through this down knee. Okay? So from here, you'll go through your halo. You want your neck relaxed. You should be able to move your neck. And you'll go on to do 5 per side. Or you can do 5 one direction, switch your half kneeling lunge position, 5 the other direction, and then you'll hit both sides. So this is a continuation and closing out part 2 of our 2-part on how to improve your neck mobility series. So the first one is we basically use the kettlebell behind our back to provide some load to pull the shoulders back and down to allow us to go into flexion and extension, rotation, and protraction and retraction with the neck. today, closing out the series by taking it one step further, a little more advanced, but now we're kind of hitting hip mobility, and we're basically going through the same neck movements, okay? We've got flexion and extensions, we've got those neck nods, or head nods, or whatever kind of nods, going into flexion and extension, okay? Then you got rotation, okay, like you're looking over to your back pocket, and you got your protraction, retraction with the chin. So that's this week's Movement Monday for the week, closing out our little two-part series on how to improve neck mobility, which is going to have a cascading effect to improving the mobility, flexibility, and strength of your shoulders and your grip, because it all radiates from the neck, as your neck is the fuse box for the rest of your body. So I'll put some details in the description below, so if you have any questions, you have any comments, as always, you can put it in the comment section below. And as always, if you're enjoying these videos, you've been enjoying, like Movement Mondays, Technique of the Week, Workout of the Week, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date with all of the latest, cutting edge information on mobility, flexibility, strength training, kettlebells, body weight, all the good stuff that I cover. So if you're really enjoying these videos, be sure to subscribe. Again, I'm Hector with 𝙤𝙤𝙨𝙞𝙠 with this week's Movement Monday for the week.